Today on Soma Says, we're joined by Lisa Axelrad-Schultz, founder of the Verdura method, a skills-first approach that helps women step out of the trillion-dollar insecurity industry and into authentic confidence. Drawing on decades in beauty and wellness, Lisa pairs mindset, nourishment, and daily practices to rebuild self-worth from the inside out. Lisa, welcome to Soma Says.
My name is Lisa Schultz. I'm a certified nutritionist, personal trainer, and life coach. I've been focusing on nutrition mostly since the pandemic, and because now everything is more virtual. And I recently launched a nutrition course called Verdura Method, which is teaching people how to listen to their own body's cues. I believe it's the nutrition program we should be taught in school. And since we're not, and we get almost no nutrition education, created a program where it really teaches us how to listen to our body's needs, learn really basic things about how food affects the body, like sleep and skin and energy and mood, and teaching people how to really tune into all that teens or 20s, and they're just focusing on macros and how to lose weight. It can be more about what food should actually be doing for our body.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that nutrition really isn't focused on in school, amongst other things, especially related to women's health. Nutrition definitely wasn't included during medical school. And even now, I don't think doctors are really well rehearsed. And because we're pressured with time and the volume of patients that we see, it's not something that we can really focus on a lot in our practice. How does your method and your mantra differ from other companies, other nutritionists out there?
I really believe in focusing on the full body as a whole, because when people come to me and they want to lose weight, I first ask, how are you sleeping? How is your stress? Because those things are also going to affect your weight loss. But what I explain is the body is a machine. And in order for the machine to work correctly, if you do want to lose weight, all of these other things need to be in line. You can't just go and fill your car up with gas and expect it to run if you're not getting oil changes, rotating the tires, and taking care of the engine. And I say the same thing for the whole body. So it needs to really be looked at. Everything about your life needs to be taken into account in addition to the food, and it needs to be all taken together and not one thing over another on a pedestal.
Okay. I think that women really have it difficult, especially the diet culture, the beauty culture. And now, because of social media, we are constantly just exposed to all this stuff. How do you think that these things have influenced women in terms of their self-doubts? What do you think is being done to basically hook women into believing that they're not thin enough, they're not beautiful enough? And how do you help women like that yourself?
That's a great question. When we think about self-doubt, we have to understand, where is that doubt coming from? So, for example, a girl or a woman might look in the mirror every single day and just see herself. But then all of a sudden she's on social media or sees a commercial or an ad, and it says, you need even skin tone. And now she's looking in the mirror and she's, I don't look like that person in the ad. And now she looks in the mirror and she sees something different because there's a post or a reel talking about even skin tone, and she's got freckles and redness and pores. And so now that's just for skin tone. And now she's looking into this one product. And that doesn't even take into account all the other things on our faces, like blemishes or fine lines. Like, that's just strictly about skin tone.
Yeah.
And that's a very normal thing for all of us. None of us have even skin tone. And that really creates this cascade of, what else do I need for under the eyes and for the lips and for other parts of the body? And it really just becomes this waterfall of things that we need. When we are selling these products to women, they look into the mirror and they just see what they are not in these ads, which are often photoshopped and airbrushed and are not indicative of what that model actually looks like. And that's even before AI existed.
Fueling women's insecurities are a $1 trillion industry. Who basically loses when women feel more confident in their own skin and their own bodies?
These mega mega machines that are real, because we all want to support small businesses, right? So when a woman comes and she opens up a makeup company, we're really excited, especially if it's a woman or if it's a woman of color, we want to celebrate that. Not all the time, I'm generalizing, but then the goal can also be to then be bought out by someone bigger.
Right.
Who's behind those bigger companies? And it's a lot of white men in finance, and it's shifting. There's a lot of women in finance now. In the C-suites, we're seeing more of it, which is great, but it is not our demographic. It's not women. It's not women in color. We're shifting that way, but it is people that aren't benefiting from us. It isn't the moms and the working women that are really busting our butts to make it in this world. It's the opposite.
You've often used the phrase, be full of yourself. And when you use that phrase, when women use that phrase, it reminds me that we should be satisfied with who we are and what we have and how we look. Why do you think society finds it threatening when women embrace that idea?
I think it comes from evolution and wanting to procreate. I think that's really where it comes from, is feeling like we are in competition to reproduce and bring babies into the world. And so I think it's in us to naturally be competitive with other women. And so I think we have to work double time to change that narrative, especially in modern society, because even if it is ingrained in us, maybe in a biological way, then we have to work really hard to then not feel so intimidated by people who are different from us. And I really love that phrase because it comes from the idea that we say it in a negative way. Oh, she's so full of herself. But I'm wondering, the opposite is being empty of ourselves. Is that what we want for women and for girls, to feel so empty and insecure because another girl is laughing louder and she walks with confidence and she's doing all these things because maybe the shy girls and the ones that are more to themselves don't have the confidence to do that? And I really feel like, let her feel full of herself in a positive way. She doesn't hate herself. Why do we want her to hate herself? And then let's also give grace to the girls that maybe do move a little quieter throughout the world because they have their own superpower. And it's about uplifting all of us in our differences. The louder ones are usually friends with the softer, quieter ones, and together they can be a powerhouse team. And to always remind our girls and teenagers as we're growing up through the world to really be proud of each other and each other's strengths in all the different ways. And so to be full of yourself is to see a girl walking down the street and maybe she doesn't look like you or act like you, and look at her and say, wow, good for her. She woke up this morning, she put on that outfit, she feels proud of herself, she likes the way she looks. That's what we need more of in the world. And
I find successful women are the ones who have networks of other successful women who support them and applaud their achievements and also help them when, they fail. What other myths or lies have women internalized that directly benefit this industry? You had touched upon one of it, right? But by this recent conversation, what other things can you talk about?
I would say the biggest one would that weight loss equals happiness. I grew up in the 80s and 90s where thin was everything. And I'm seeing it differently now. I think that different body shapes and sizes are more accepted with the Ozempic and everything happening. It still teeters in that other way that thin will make you happy. And that kind of goes back to my program where you need to look at the whole body, because you might be thin, but you might be exhausted and you might not have stable moods and your skin might be breaking out or your hair is thinning, to stress and passion and purpose and making sure that you have a lot of confidence coming from other just how much you weigh. And then the other thing I would say, which I'm just such a big believer in, is that aging equals illness and disease. And that just because we are getting older, that means life is over, especially for women. You've lost your youth, your beauty, your stamina. And I really am working hard to dispel that and show that we can, we're just getting started in our 40s, right? This was just rehearsal before. And this is now when we can really thrive and you can be well. And you do not have to age with illness and disease. And a lot of it is lifestyle factors that bring it into play that make it so. And if you
Yeah.
do all the holistic modalities to look at the body as one with the sleep and the stress and the food and the movement, then you can really age beautifully inside and out.
I was recently listening to a couple of podcasts. One, it was actually the same podcast, but different shows. And one focused on Bobby Brown, and the other was about Naomi Watts. And they both talk about their perspectives. What Naomi was talking about her experience as an actress, as an actor, and how she was told that by a certain age, which was 40, that, and I won't use the word, but if you listen to the podcast, you know, that she had lost her zest. She was not desirable anymore. And with Bobby Brown, I was a big fan of her makeup when she was a part of it. I don't necessarily buy Bobby Brown now because she has nothing to do with it. But her makeup was about enhancing a woman's features or not necessarily hiding or camouflaging. These women have really been influential for various generations, for millennials, for Gen Xers, even for Gen Zers, although I don't think my daughter as an alpha, what do they call them? Gen Alpha would know any of these.
No, I get lost with them too.
Okay. So how do you think these different industries are targeting these different generations? How do you think it varies?
Oh, the younger generations, whichever gen they are
Yeah.
starting younger and younger because I'm almost 42 and I'm just getting my friends in their late 30s and 40s on a skincare routine. It was not pushed on us in our 20s or early 30s. I've seen teenagers now doing face masks and all this stuff. And while I think some of it is nice, learning how to just moisturize your skin and take care of yourself, it's hygienic in a way. Going overboard then goes back to what we talked about with seeing the imperfections and you're not enough and you need all these products. And I'm more of I like to live simply. And I think that the most basic things are enough. And going overboard is really just giving into the over consumerism of this country.
Yeah.
But I do see it starting so much earlier.
You're so right, because every time I go to the mall and I see all these young girls at Sephora or Ulta and they're just buying all these products, I'm like, this is not good for your skin. My regimen as a 20-something-year-old versus now is pretty much the same.
Same with me.
I'm not even a big believer in the retinol and this and that. It really should come down to a good moisturizer, a good skin cleanser, and making sure you have enough sun protection to prevent the damage from happening. And I think these are the basics. But I don't really hear that message being portrayed towards skincare when it comes to younger girls, right? So you have to wonder, what is happening in these C-suites that they feel like this is the appropriate thing to do?
Yeah. And I have a 7-year-old daughter and the conversations are getting deeper. She's an inquisitive, curious child. The conversations have always started. And the one thing you'll hear from me all the time is just drink some water. Water makes everything better. Whatever the problem is, it's the most basic.
And it's good for our general health too. So if girls and women wanted to opt out of everything that we've been talking about, right, out of this industry, what is one habit or mindset shift that you can encourage them to do that would help them?
It definitely has to be a mindset shift because there are some good, look, no matter what it is, politics, religion, skincare, being extreme in anything, diet culture is never a good thing. Understand the education behind it. I like to use the word informed consent, even though it's used in other ways, like in birth or in medicine. Informed consent basically means that you understand the education behind it. So if someone wants to do Botox, I'm all for a woman doing whatever makes her feel good. I want you to know all the pros and all the cons, and then you can make that decision. If you want to use all these skincare products, understand what can happen if you're using them to your skin in a long-term way. So it's more about mindset and having education, because I have a lot of friends and clients that are taking all these supplements, and I'll get on a call with them and I say, why are you taking them? Do you know what this is for? And
Yeah.
they don't. They saw an ad, someone mentioned it, they have a holistic practitioner, and they don't even know what iron is for or what protein does for the body. They don't
Yeah.
know what collagen is. And they're just spending all of this money. And so what I try to do is educate, so then you can make an informed decision. I have a lot of friends, for example, the supplement industry, we could talk about that, like huge, right? Collagen specifically for women. I'm trying to educate, look, here's what happens. Around 40 years old, our estrogen starts to drop. And that is why we start to see changes in our skin. Our hydration levels start to drop. We see more fine lines. We see changes in our elasticity. Our collagen is harder to absorb into the body.
Right.
So if you are interested in collagen, it is expensive. You do not need it at 25 years old. If you want to start taking it, try a really clean product, read the reviews. Here are some side effects from taking it. Try it out with nothing else so that you're not changing anything else in your diet to see that your body takes it in. And if you want it, then you can have it once in a while. You have to understand that what it's for in the body, why the body might need it, what would be the appropriate age to start it, how often do you need it, and what are going to be the cleanest brands. So that's just for collagen, right? So every supplement needs to be understood what the point is for.
Yeah. I think it becomes overwhelming for women. I hear about the creatine and the collagen and God knows how many various supplements. And I'm the type of doctor that if I can, I like to it's a similar thing with supplements. If you are taking too much, then you will tend to have more side effects related to those supplements as well. And I think it becomes overwhelming psychologically, having to remember to take all those pills. I do think it causes women to feel stressed out, and not to mention the money factor as well.
It's expensive. I agree. I think that people should utilize holistic lifestyle first with food and water and movement and sleep and stress reduction, because every supplement, even if it's a natural herb, it will have side effects to it. And I try to also educate, if you want to increase the estrogen, for example, there's a lot of foods that can help produce more estrogen in the body and help more progesterone production. All of those things can affect menopause as well. So it's understanding that food has such an impact also on how our body is aging. And just like you said, we should not be relying on all of these supplements, all of this medication. It doesn't have to be that way with proper lifestyle techniques. I fear that people underestimate the power of food and lifestyle and overestimate the reliance on all of the medications and over-the-counter supplements.
Yeah. America is definitely a supplement nation.
Oh,
It was a few months ago, and there was this company that was interested in having a conversation with me. They even said it, that we're targeting this demographic and we want to basically tailor a supplement to them. And yeah, I am judging them, but they're aware of the desire to be on a pill in this country. What inspired you to build your business, build your brand, build the Verdura method? Did you have any insecurities that affected you personally that you had to break down in order to live and speak about these things?
oh yeah, very much. I'm almost 42. I was born in the 80s. I was very much part of the magazine culture and seeing all that stuff growing up, that I was not enough. My body type wasn't like the way it looked on the magazines. And that was hard as a kid. And I am classically trained as a personal trainer. So I became a trainer back in 2006, before it was very popular. Being in gym culture, when I would see these women and how they looked, I was very much in that industry. And in the last 20 years that I've been teaching nutrition and fitness, my methodology has changed. I've become a mother twice. I have a daughter. I have gone through pregnancy and postpartum. I have my own struggles with anxiety and postpartum and managing the world and trying to instill good habits in my children. And I also had a bad car accident when I was 27. I had to have multiple surgeries to get through that. And so I've gone through this evolution of how I used to teach versus how I teach now. My very first entrepreneurial venture was the wedding trainer in Chicago, Illinois. When I was 24 years old, I started this business where I was doing personal training and nutrition for brides to be. It was a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I believe in it. And it's because the wedding industry is this $1 billion industry. And I was absolutely feeding into it. I was 24 years old. I was a fit personal trainer and nutritionist. I was doing scale weigh-ins and trying to get them to lose weight. They get down to their weight and then they gain it all back after the wedding. I look at that now and that was my fault because I was not teaching sustainability. I wasn't teaching anything that was realistic. I wasn't teaching them how to take care of their mental health. All I was doing was teaching them how to lose weight and essentially yo-yo. And as I went through my own body changes and after the car accident, becoming a mom and having a daughter, I realized that the gift I could give to my daughter, to myself, and the world is sustainable nutrition, where you learn how to take care of your body, learn that food affects your mood and your energy and how well you can focus at school. I have also a 3-year-old boy, how I need to manage my mood stability while I'm handling a toddler and a young girl and my own business and my husband. And I need to be taking care of myself while I'm carrying the world on my shoulders. And so my methodology through all of that and my evolution is really that we need to have the basics. People need to learn that food will make you feel a certain way. And you need to move your body and drink water and get really good sleep and learn how to de-stress and eat lots of fruits and vegetables. And when you do all that, you just will naturally feel better. And then the confidence can come from just feeling good about yourself because you feel really good inside and out. And then the weight loss can be a side effect, but you're less focused on your weight loss. Now I have clients and I will go to their house and pick up their scale. And I say, this scale is confusing you. It's getting in the way of you understanding how your body feels. You need to learn, how did that breakfast make you feel today? If you step on the scale in the morning, you're not thinking about how breakfast made you feel or how dinner makes you feel. You're thinking about if that made you gain or lose weight. And that's not what we're doing here.
Yeah. You know, with, as you mentioned, Ozempic, Mounjaro, right? Wegovy, Zepbound, with the advent of these medications and so many women being on them, what are your thoughts? Full disclosure, I do prescribe them. I'm very careful with how I prescribe it. And I have a different relationship to these medicines where I feel like I am carefully watching my patients while they're on them and making sure they're eating and not just addressing that number on the scale. Especially as a woman goes through perimenopause and menopause, those numbers don't necessarily, like that BMI is not necessarily the same BMI that she was when she was 24. So to try to achieve that may actually be detrimental in terms of muscle mass, in terms of bone density, a whole lot of things. And that's very difficult to get to. People have been trained almost to believe, no, I need to be a certain BMI. What are your thoughts on what I just said about that? This is a two-part question. What are your thoughts about what I just said? And then how do you feel about GLP-1s as well?
So I'll start with the GLP-1s, which is, I think because I consider myself, and probably people see me as a holistic practitioner, that people think I would think that it's bad, and I don't. And the reason why is because I have been doing this 20 years and I get it. Women are exhausted. They are exhausted from trying everything and nothing has worked. And they're working and they're raising kids and they're running businesses and they're stressed out and nobody is taking care of them in this country.
Yeah.
And they just need help and they don't want to keep thinking about this every day. They want to get dressed and feel good about themselves. And I get it. And I think that there is room for both. And I've had clients that are on Ozempic and I can work with their doctors too. And I say, look, take out Ozempic. I want you to feel good. And let's learn how food makes you feel. Because you never got that education. And that's why we're all in this, that we're in this country, because of the lack of nutrition education in this country. And I'm not judgmental about it, and I understand it. And I think you can still focus on lifestyle changes while on Ozempic and all the other medications. And I think that I just want to help people feel good in whatever way that means. And also have an end goal. What do they want? Do they want to be on it long term? Do they want to get on it to get to a certain point? And then they want to start to taper off after they've figured out some lifestyle changes, right? Let's have a plan in place so that we're not reliant on it. That probably goes to what you said about you're trying to get them off their medications. There's nothing wrong with being on medication. It's more, what else can we do then to help you achieve your goal, and then we can taper off. So regarding the BMI, that is a great thing to touch on, because I also have a lot of clients that come to me and they have this goal weight in mind. I want to be 125 pounds. And I'm like, okay, why? That's how I weighed when I felt my best. How old were you when you felt your best? 18. How old are you now? 37. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot has changed in your body since then.
Yeah.
So let's work with the body and the age you are now and what makes sense for where you are now. I believe it goes back to the lack of education in women's health from a young age, because no one is telling us in high school and health class, hi, you are going to go through a lot of hormonal changes. Puberty is not the only one. You're going to go through it again when you're 22. It's going to happen again around the time you're 28. It's going to happen again around the time you're 47.
Yeah.
And as you go through those changes every 10 years, your body is going to change and body composition is going to shift, and it's going to be harder to achieve the same BMI and fat muscle composition, because the older we get, muscle and fat start to change. It's easier and harder to keep one or the other. And let's just work with how the body is. Let's not be mad at it. Let's just understand in health class from a young age that biologically our body is going to be changing every 10 years. It's not a bad thing. We shouldn't feel bad that we don't look 18 when we're 38 years old. We shouldn't be looking like that. What should be the habits of a 38-year-old, a 48-year-old, a 58-year-old to feel good? Because we can't be holding on to these numbers that are arbitrary from our teens and early 20s.
No, absolutely. And while you were speaking, one of the questions I had for you was, and I think you've answered it beautifully, is how do you model that confidence to the next generation, to our daughters, so that they don't inherit the same insecurities? I feel like there's so much around them. Sometimes our voices get drowned. But do you do any kind of workshops or anything for young girls when it comes to this?
I have a digital product that I created for parents, how to talk to kids about food, because I think a lot of it, we were raised with finish your plate, it's healthy. And I've been very vocal about how we should be talking about food, because then we internalize that. Okay, if I eat something that's quote unquote bad, then I am being bad. I am still working with adults who think of themselves as bad and go through these guilt and shame spirals because they're eating dessert because of what they were taught as children. That creates restrictive binge behavior as adults. That's how it presents itself, right? So if we want to change how young girls and children handle food in adulthood, we need to change the way we're talking about food. The other thing is, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she's very aware, very empathetic, very sensitive. We're already having these conversations. I don't talk about my body ever. She's probably never heard me once look in the mirror and say something about how I look. It's more, do you like my dress? I feel really happy today. And I try to watch what I say in front of her. When she feels that about herself, which has already started happening, she's very aware of how her hair looks and how clothes fit her. I try to keep her confidence in other things. And we talk about people who love us and how hard of a worker she is and how kind she is. I'm trying to change the conversation to what I find to be important. And I'm sure soon body image stuff will eventually come up, because I see her thinking about everything. I think it's giving your kids confidence in so many other things. And I really believe that human beings just look different.
Yeah.
We should be, why would we look? I'm 5'2". Why would I have the body shape of a 5'8" model? Like that just doesn't even make sense. And there's a lot of shorter women that have a different body type like me that are muscular and curvy, and that's beautiful. There are women that are 5'10" that are more muscular and curvy, and that's beautiful. And all around the world, we are different shapes and sizes. And it's really, I think, just reframing that from the youngest age you can, and also reminding women about that, because I think they forget. Look around the world. No one looks the same.
Yeah. One of the things that you reminded me of, and this is what I personally do because I feel comfortable doing it, is that I actually, with my patients and with my children, I actually share my trials and tribulations when it came to maybe unwanted hair growth in places that are not considered beautiful or attractive. I freely talk about it and whatever procedures that I had to remove it. I talk about it, not to say, oh, you need to do this in order to remove unwanted facial hair. It's something that I dealt with and I chose to do it. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it. But if you need help and that's something that you want to explore, right, then we can talk about that. And I take that approach with my patients as well, that this is actually a part of your body. There's nothing wrong. We should make sure, let's say you don't have hormonal imbalances that are leading to that, but there are plenty of women who are hormonally normal that have hair growth. It could be other factors that are influencing that. And if you need my help in targeting, if that's something that you want to explore, then I can help you with that. But my goal is to help them understand that there's nothing wrong. It could be weight related. It could be hair related. Obviously, there's so many things that you can pick. This has been a great conversation because it's something that I deal with as a mom. It's something that I deal with as patients. So many women come to me and they want that tummy tuck or that facelift. And I'm actually that internist who's always like encouraging them, like, you're beautiful as is, but I will support you in your journey. And if sometimes we have a conversation as to why they're pursuing it. There have been times when I've been able to change their decision. And there are times where I'm fully supportive of what you're doing. I mentioned Bobbi Brown as back in the day when Bobbi was part of Bobbi Brown. And at that time, that was my favorite beauty product. If you could keep one beauty product in your purse just for fun, what would it be?
Probably just lip gloss,
Okay.
shine. It just feels good. And I'm like you, I don't wear a lot of makeup, just a little mascara and a little lip gloss. And that's really all it takes for me.
You don't need too much, I can tell.
Thank you.
You're very beautiful. And I'm talking not from an aesthetic standpoint. It's who you are inside and out.
Thank you so much.
A song that makes you instantly feel powerful. And maybe you play this for your daughter or, for yourself when you're not feeling so good.
My daughter loves the song Girl on Fire by Rihanna. So just putting that on and watching her belt it out is just the sweetest thing. And also to teach them from a young age, listen to the lyrics of the song and have so much fun with it. I love it.
I love Rihanna. Honestly, I admire her so much for her work, for her music. I feel she's so talented. And being full of myself means what? Can you finish that sentence?
Being full of myself means not being afraid to speak up and share with the world who I am.
That's great. That is great. I do think that your voice out there is making a difference, and I'm so glad that I can highlight it on this podcast. Obviously, I will include your contact information on the show notes, your website, and tag you on Instagram and other social media. Is there anything that we haven't talked about on this podcast that you wanted to include?
I remembered that when you were just asking if I had any workshops, I do have an incredible workshop that I do with every client, and I call it the Bloom Workshop. Any nutritionist can give a set of recipes and be like, eat this and you'll feel better, increase energy, lose weight. But if you don't understand the obstacles about what's getting in your way or why you're self-sabotaging, I created this incredible workshop that really gets to the bottom, the root causes of why we feel the way we do about ourselves, insecurities, why we're self-sabotaging, why we can't stay consistent with these lifestyle changes. And so when you're talking about how you work with clients, you're an internist trying to talk about holistic ways to change and mindset reframes. I think it's a combination of it, right? And it goes back to that informed consent. Okay, if you want to do it, that's great. But let's also get to, when did you start feeling this way? What are some mindset shifts? And maybe you still want to get on this medication or you still want to have this surgery. That's great. But then when you have it, let's make sure that it doesn't go into the file of I'm still not good enough. And so what else can we do to mindset shift and still take you on that journey of lifestyle changes. So you keep up this shift and you keep working on yourself. And so I created this workshop and I love it. And it's all about mindset reframes, personalized affirmations, and to get you started on your lifestyle journey of health and wellness and aging well and beautifully into your later years.
Awesome. And if we were to look for you, Lisa, for your website, for your social media, where can we find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at It's Lisa Schultz, and my website is verduramethod.com.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. This was such a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.